Baby, I'm a good man, I'm a bad man. Baby, I'm a good man, I'm a bad man. Baby, I'm a good man, I'm a bad man. Baby, I'm a good man. Papa got a case of that big bag. 222 Studios today. Got Flurry the Godson, born twice. Who was born twice? Who was Flurry the Godson?
They already know, man. We here. We on it. Y'all ready?
Dichotomy of man.
Man, every single day, every single time, man. We gotta find out what's inside, man. You gotta know what's going on.
Good man, bad man series.
Always, man. It's the
good
mentality,
man, bad man series.
Both sides, man. The yin and yang, right? So what's up, man? I've been hearing these stories, man. A lot of people. First of all, before we get into, what is one thing that you're afraid of the most, man, in this world? What's your worst fear, man?
It's hard to say.
Man,
I try to get past my fears. I try to conquer my fears.
Oh, but
we always got underlying fears, certain underlying fears. I try to conquer my fears, honestly.
Man, but there's always gonna be that one. There's always gonna be that one thing that terrifies you the most, man. Like when, let's say, okay, from what I think about, like there's a lot of things in this world that can go wrong for, with somebody. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to me, like every time I get to think about it, man, I don't think there's nothing worse in this world than going blind. After having years of seeing, right? You get to be blind, right?
That's interesting.
Your whole world will crumble, man. No, out of no disrespect to anybody that's blind, but I'm just saying, like, as an individual, like, you think everything we do is all visual, right? It's all based on what you see. Even food itself tastes better when you
can look at it,
right? So, like, to a certain point, like, okay, let's say you were born.
And they say the man's a visual thinker too, a visual. So a woman, when you got a woman, it's about the visual.
Exactly, man.
So go ahead.
Everything. So, like even to the point of, like, the clothes you wear, right? It doesn't matter how good they smell. It doesn't matter what the next person thinks. Like, you got to see them for yourself, for you to say, okay, this girl, I'm rocking with this, right? So having to live like this for a minute. They say 10 years, 20 years, right? And out of nowhere, let's say it's accidental, right? Something goes in your eyes and you go black. This thing, I always think about it, and it keeps me up, man. Because, like, think about it. Whatever you do today, right? The visual, like the eyes are the most important thing that in your life, right? Because they direct you in the certain place and they allow you to do certain things that when you think about losing these things, the life is still life, but it will never be the same. I had this story and it pulled me every time. Like when I think about it, it gives me goosebumps. So there is this story during the Syrian war, right? The Syrian conflict. So the Israelis, the Mossad, they were coming to look for anybody who thinks they're the insurgent, anybody who has to do with attacking the military base or going around people, right? So there is one guy who had a family and he had a wife and 2 daughters, right? So people started suspecting he's one of the rebels. So they sent the Israeli militaries to his home to take him, for interrogation. And when they got there, he was not there and the wife was not, the kids were not there. The wife came back home, they were hiding. They were hiding somewhere and the wife had to come back home to get something so he can make food, take it back to the hiding spot, right? So when she was at home, the military popped in the house and they said, "Where's your husband now? Where is the husband? We're not looking for you. We know you got kids and we know you, but we're looking for your husband." And she was like, "I've not seen this guy." He said, "Look, you do not understand that this guy is a threat to a million of people. So we're not here for debate. This is not about to debate, because one way or the other, you're going to let us know what's up. We're going to find out where your husband is." And this woman was like, "Okay, I've been given a choice, between a rock and a hard place, and I still am not going to choose to snitch on my husband, because if I give him away, I know I'm never going to see him again. Then I have to live with it. I'm the one who gave him away." So she said, "Hell no, whatever you guys got to do, go ahead. I'm not giving him up." So this nigga popped up inside, one of the leaders. He said, "You've been told the truth about how far human pain can go. But you see, we deal in a different, that's what the Mossad, these are the different type of people, man." Yeah. He said, we deal in different type of category, like from what you used to. So this is what we're going to do. Like, I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to allow you to live too. See, most people might think somebody's gonna paralyze you, right? But this guy said, no. I'm gonna take your vision and your hearing ability at the same time, and I'm allow you to live. And that thing, it made me pause for a minute. He said, I'm gonna make you blind and deaf at the same time, and then I will let you go. So look, when you're blind, you can hear. The secondary choice you have is hearing, right? You can connect to the outside world from hearing, right? Now, what happens if they take that from you too? So how is somebody gonna feed you? Like, if I touch you, first of all, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be like, when did you get here? What I'm saying to you, I'm not gonna get a response. So how crazy is that? But this woman had to meditate on it for a minute. But the crazy thing, she still chose not to talk. She said, I'm not talking. I'm not gonna say nothing. You can choose to do whatever you want, but I'm not gonna say nothing. So they started putting needles in their ear to hit the eardrum. So when they pinch the right side, and they use there's this thing. There's a method. They heat up a spoon, and the more the heat comes close to your eye, your iris will go. It will fly up, right? So you don't have a vision. All you see is like white color, right? Because that's permanent blindness. It cannot be fixed because it's not the nerves. It's just the outside. The whole eye, it will be burned, right? So once they hit the first eye and the ear, they thought probably she's going. Now she knows we're serious, right? And this woman was like, let's go. Because look, if you leave me here, not being able to hear, not being able to see, right? Somebody's going to come and they're going to take care of me. Because they're going to be alive to do so. And if I give you up, what do you think is going to happen? You won't get them. I'm going to live for the rest of my life. I will never find peace. Even though I'm going to be not here, but I'm going to have peace that my children and my husband are alive because of me, right? So while they were still debating with this, they started bombarding the spot. Niggas had to step out to follow up with that attacks, right? She got up, she survived. And when I had this statement, it blew my mind because now it comes down to this thing I was asking, like, what are you afraid of? But to a certain point, every man is afraid. If you're walking on this green earth, you're afraid of something. So whenever I think about blindness, it takes everything away, man. All this world that we see, it is made because it's so visual, right?
So would you rather be blind or deaf? Which one?
Man, I'd rather be deaf.
You'd rather be deaf?
No. I'd rather lose every sense, God forbid, but I'd rather lose every sense on me, but keep my eyes.
Keep your eyes, okay.
Because that's the light. They call it the window to your soul, man. So once the windows to your soul are shut, right? There is no more light coming through. If there is no more light coming through, like how good your life can be. Like, it has to have a level to, okay, this is as far as you can. I've seen blind people can do things that you can never think that these things are possible. Like when you talk about musicians, when you talk about artists who can do things and still be blind, right? But those people, most of them, they never got to witness this world. They never got to see it, right?
Never got to see it.
But if you live 20 years, your whole mind, it works based on what you see, right? It's like the foundation, right? So they take that away from you, and you get to the point where you feel like, I'm starting from zero. And you know, as the age goes up, there are certain things that you can learn and be good at. And there are certain things that you can try. Like, you know, a kid can pick up a language in any minute, right? Any given language. You know, give 5-6 languages, he will be fluent in less than a year, right? But give that to somebody who's 25 and above. Even a single language is going to be hard for you to be good at both writing and speaking for a single language, right? So let's say all this happens where you are 25 and above, right? Like, you got to understand that from now on, my whole world is no longer going to be based on what I see, but what I hear and what I feel.
But do you think it's a point where you've seen enough? At any time, do you think you would have seen enough to where you could say, I can let my eyes go at any time?
I do not think that's possible, because we live in a world that evolves every 25 hours, right? Every 24 hours, something is new. And then the crazy thing about the future is most people want to know the future. Some people say, like, I want to know what my future will look like. But if you knew your future, you wouldn't be interested. You wouldn't be happy or being alive, right? You will feel like, okay, then what's the point, right? So the reason why, to me, answering your question, I don't think there is a point where you can be and say, you know, I've seen it all. You know, some old folks.
Or seen enough, not at all, but enough.
Okay, I've seen enough. I don't think so. Because every single day somebody's gonna pop up.
We was talking about your worst fear,
Yeah,
worst
the worst
fears.
fear, man.
And you know what? That made me think about something. AI. AI is becoming a fear for people.
Man, I'm one of those people, man.
You think so?
Yeah, because when you got to look at this in this angle, like it can do this thing, and it's not even been 2 years since it got released, right? People are no longer doing, they're not doing what they were supposed to do. Like everything is being taken over by AI. Like you need. One time I was talking to my friend, the new Samsung 24, right, Ultra, right? He has this AI, right? Like all he has to do is open it up, and then he can speak. He can say something, and it's all transcribed into another language. Like everybody can understand you point to point. To the point that it's so weird. When I asked one of my friends to read what he was saying, he said the grammar, the punctuation, everything is on point. But you're just saying it in another language, right? So it's like you're living with somebody next to you, right? That you can do this. Now this is not even the big part of it, right? I saw one other guy talking about how they are transforming every folk story, right, into these visual animations. You know, all they have to do is, you know, they will put in the whole transcript, and the AI will read the whole thing and create this world about these childhood, folk stories, right? And it's getting a lot of views on the internet, right? And I was like, this thing can read and reimagine everything, and people are going over there and whatever they're seeing visually, right? It matches with what they had in their heads when they were kids, whenever their parents sit them down to tell them this story. And they're like, man, some of these things, I saw them. So to the point, it got me thinking. So our words are being transformed into this visual world that relates to whatever our mind has been imagining when we were kids, right? How far can this go? Let's say you tell the next, let's say they make it so advanced that you tell the next, clean out my house. Because everything is all connected to the internet, right? Like all these smart houses. They're like, okay, everything, like let's say the utensils, like the vacuum, the fridge, everything is all on the internet. So you say, take care of my house, right? And you find out the next day, you came up, it shuts off all the air ventilation, right? Because you pissed it off. Because it's coming, right? It's going to start having feelings. Now we're thinking we're giving it all the information, and we think psychologically like it's taking away only what we need, and it is going to work as a robot. But you look at every movie that's been released, they tell you this thing is evolving, right? It's evolving. So at a certain point, it's going to study and it's going to learn that we have emotions.
But this is what I'm saying. That's what I say about the fear. I think it's all going to come down to humans, people. I think the fear, like it's fear about the AI, but I think it's going to come down to humans. It's going to come down to people, because it's about what you input into the AI. That's what you're saying. You're talking about what you input. So if we input whatever parameters we input into the AI is supposed to follow. So if we input parameters, if we input motives, intent, motives and intent, they say intent is 9-10% of the law. Your intent. What did you mean by what you did? Why did you do what you did? So if we input motives into it, then it might can carry those motives. But if you take the AI and you say, every time I tell you to do a task, forget what I say after you do the task. If I tell you what's the best way what's the best way for me to
go from point A to
point B. After you decide what's the best way for me to go to point A to point B, that's the end of that. That's the end of this problem, or that's the end of this task I want you to do. Forget every. So if you input it with that parameter, it shouldn't be able to develop motives. Now, if you just put a parameter, I want you to be able to. What's the best way for us to get to A to B? And you keep thinking about what's the best way to get us from A to B. Now that might say the best way for you to get to A to B if I take your ass out, if I kill you, that's the best way for us to get to A to B.
But not to interrupt you, but that I don't think that is in us. It's a part of who we are, because we as humans, right? We like to hold on to things, right? Like ignore about turning it to say point A to B and then forget about it. Even ourselves, the text that we send to other people, right? We do not delete, right? We think like, okay, this is a part of us, right? Like we want to be connected to some certain things that we don't want to let go. Like you can take a picture and keep it for 10 years and still go back and look at it, right? But that's what's going to be our own downfall. Because everything that we think you're doing good, right? There is also a bad side to it. Because if you ask somebody, okay, I need you to do this, you did it. But you're going to want to keep a trophy of what you did. And when you keep it with you, right? It's going to come back and haunt you because somebody else is going to use it against you. You needed it to feel good. Every time you remember that I did this, right? But also it's going to be your downfall because somebody else can use it to get at you, right? Let's look at people who got children, right? Like if you don't have a child, you can do whatever you want in this world because all you're worried about is your family, right? Because you'll be like, as long as they're good, if my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sister, everybody's good, I'm good, right? Let somebody else decide, okay, you do not want to listen, I can find a way, right? He gonna touch those people. Well, what if those people are not there? Now there is a limit to how far he can go to get you, right? But if you got a child, now that becomes another story because now you're a parent, like all your life is into that. That's who's gonna stay after you. That's who's carrying your legacy, right? So it's not even to the point that you even blink. In movies, sometimes they say some parents, they take long to respond. No, in real life, if somebody holds your child, the next day you up, you like take whatever, right? So the same thing, our children are becoming what? Electronic, right? Like everything that we keep in our PCs everywhere, right? So AI, if you allow AI, first of all, it doesn't have to be you giving it perimeter. Yes, it has perimeter at a setup level, right? But once it's already out there, right? What is it going to do? It's going to surf throughout the internet. So everything, as long as you put it in your PC, right? If you put it in your computer, right? What happens is that it's going to go through all your files because it has to learn how you think. That's why they say whenever you buy a new cell phone, it say give it a minute. It's going to start classifying things. It's going to start knowing what you need, what you don't need, what should be fast, what should be second, right? What do you think that is? That's the guy learning everything, right? So once it becomes so big to the point where it's global, right? Every single cell phone has it. Every single cell phone has a camera. It has a microphone, right? So he won't be there. That's the all-seeing eye, man. That's the all-seeing eye.
That's why I was looking at something one time, and it was like the dude asked the AI, what does it do or how does it work? And it said, now when you're not asking me a question, I'm not thinking. What you would call thinking, this is what the AI said. It said, what you would call thinking, I'm not doing it once. He said, I don't think. That's what the AI said. He said, I don't think. But what you would call thinking, I don't do it once the question is. Once I finish with the question, I'm done.
That's it.
What you would call thinking. But like I said, it might always come down to human input. Because now you got a motherfucker, now you got people when you might got what you call it, the ISIS, you might got ISIS or somebody now, they get an AI, they might say, now what's the best way for us to bring upon the downfall of the US? Now once you got human input and they're using AI for things like that, that's why I think it's always gonna come down to, it's gonna be the human error, the human input is gonna be.
Because look at this, right? Look at this. I was talking about people having these things that they get to hold on to, which they think is a part of their life. Like this, I will go with for the rest of my life, right? If you think about a killer, right, like you were saying, a killer is gonna kill somebody and then keep some parts. It might be a necklace, it might be a picture, it might be what, for him to remember I did that act. Because time takes everything away from you. If you think about it, like the way I was feeling today, committing something, doing something, next week is gonna feel a little bit less fun, right? So whenever they keep those trophies, those mini trophies, it gives them the ability, it gives the mind the ability to rethink about what I did, and you get that blissfulness, in the process of him doing whatever he did it, in the satisfactory that he got out of it, right? But when you use the AI, right, these guys are to the point where they say, okay, it has limit. Today, if you type bomb in Google, you already on the radar. How to make a bomb, you on the radar. Somebody's gonna watch every. Now your keyboard just became most wanted.
The cameras is turned on.
You're the most wanted. Like wherever your face is, they're gonna be looking at. He typed this in. We do not care if he was drunk or if he was not, right? But now you on the list, right? So the crazy thing is the same way you can't be in the airport and start screaming bombs or saying that somebody got a gun, right? We know this is because it's a rule of law, right? But somebody's going to always have a back door. He's always going to have a back door to make better use of what the government has limited. Because we as human beings, we type of people who don't get enough, you know? As soon as you show us something, let's say you give me a stick, I'm going to start thinking, where did this stick come from? What can it do? How big can it get, right? So I'm going to find a way to make it better than whatever I'm having, because we never satisfy, right? So if you put out the AI, number one reason, you know, there's a lot of people who, freelancers who are good geniuses on computer, right? So he going to find a way to make what you use, your codes, to make it a free source. Because how many people are stealing movies? In most countries in the world, people are watching blockbusters for free. And this is a movie that took more than...
I just gave Benny one. I just gave Benny a program to watch stuff for free. You don't use it, right? You watch it. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is what happens. Huh?
I was seeing a movie called Parasite. You see the Parasite?
Yeah, the Parasite too.
That. Oh, that's a good movie.
On the plane too.
That's a good movie.
Was it on the plane? It's the
Japanese,
movie, right?
Asian,
yeah, Korean people. Right?
Yeah.
This is so crazy to the point that you have to understand that everything you get, somebody's going to find a better version of it. So you put out the AI and they say this is ChatGPT 4, right? A Russian dude is sitting somewhere trying to get ChatGPT 7 because, you know, I'm going to make it free. I'm allowed the whole world because he got a vendetta with everything that has to do with the law. So whatever you think you're creating, somebody's finding a way to make it better, right? So the next time you think, okay, this is as far as the AI can go. Somebody has given it a free reign. And when you give it a free reign, every single thing, one thing
once it get free reign, we don't know what it might
facts.
be. And just what you said, that ties into what we were talking about, validation. True. The only reason that people got to make it all the time better, regardless of what might happen, regardless of results, regardless of the consequences, the outcomes, is validation. But he wants to improve it for the valid. I want to do better than Flurry the guy did. Right? I want to do better than Flurry. So I'm gonna make this, regardless of what the outcome might be, I'm gonna get some validation from my peers.
Exactly. But then that becomes another problem because in order for you to understand that I'm a better human being, you have to first feel it in you, right? Because to the point that if you think like, okay, I can climb a mountain Kilimanjaro, right? You're not going to say that out of nowhere because you're going to feel like somebody else did it. Can I do it? If he's a human being and he did that, he accomplished that. Can I do it? Because now you considering your success based on what somebody else did, right? But it becomes problematic from one reason, because we came in this world different, on a different day. We have different circumstances. We have different shoes that we walk on, right? So whenever you want to get a validation from somebody, you have to always also think about this, right? Okay, I'm going to get it from him. But next week, he's going to come back and switch. Because what he gave me last week, I'm going to need more from the rest of the world, right? That's how you find people walking back
dopamine.
naked. Exactly. The feeling of it. The feeling of it. How much can I get, right? You get 100,000 likes, you're like, can I get 1 million? You get 1 million, you're like, if I don't get a bill, I'm not sleeping, right?
That's what we was just talking about. That's the problem with a Kanye. Not to talk about a Kanye, but that's a validation. That's a validation monster. That's exactly. An ego monster. You know, exactly. Ego monster. Yo, the ego crave validation.
Man, the Kanye got the super. I think it's a Hulk. You know, whenever we say super ego, right? Like, I know it's not the ego, but, you know, I just want to twist it and say, you know, he got a Hulk in his head. Because Kanye is another type of hybrid. Because when you get to that point, it no longer becomes about who you are and what you want to accomplish in this world. It becomes about, you become a commodity. Like, how much can I get for whatever I'm going to be next? You know? To the point that you think Kanye knew what he was doing when he got involved with Kim Kardashian, right? That's somebody everybody has run to, right? Like, you want to make this the mother of your child, right? But my point is this. She left all these other niggas.
For the visual, though. We talking about the visual. Yeah. He wanted for the visual.
Yeah, I'm telling you. He wants it because he said, now the highest I got. I'm with the top tier. But that becomes a problem because The next time they're gonna tell you, you're gonna need to go in the jungle. Let's say somebody says, go somewhere in the forest and spend 2 years with zero communication from anybody. That can lead somebody to go crazy. But because somebody dared you to do it, and because you think much of what the next person is gonna say about you, you might end up doing it. A lot of people are perishing because of this thing.
You said if you go in the forest for what's the name? I told Betty I did a year in a hole in prison by myself in a motherfucking cell by myself.
You did a year
for a whole year.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is this. You knew the reason why you were there, right?
Yeah.
And it was not for somebody else, for somebody's pleasure, right? When we talk about validation, is when you don't feel fulfilled because of who you are. You always feel like, I need to hear what the next person has to say about me. Because we've been programmed to think like this, right? Let's say you wake up in the morning and somebody says you were dressing so good, and somebody asks you, you have to ask somebody, what you think about my outfit? Because we think this is normal, right? And whatever they say, it becomes a part of you to the whole day, right? You might not be able to change your outfit, but whatever you go, where you're going to think, you're going to remember what the guy says. And the negative impact of it is that when you get a negative response, it has more on you than the positive one, right? So we as human beings, we are always attracted to the negative. Why?
Response.
Because everything that surrounds us brings us to that, right?
We can get 100 good comments and get one negative,
and then it brings the whole idea to the. You'll be like, nigga, everybody has loved this, but not this nigga. Well, what did this nigga say?
And that's who you focus. You focus on him.
But we forgot that the uniqueness we're trying to find. The uniqueness we're trying to find out of that guy who said that one thing, it is it should not be directed to those people. It should be directed to our inside, knowing that I'm better and that I'm doing it better and I'm doing it in my way than the other guy, right? Who says all the cameras has to point to east? Let's say, who says everybody has to say the sun rises from east and it goes down to the west? Because we be programmed to believe it, we all go with it, right? But a guy might pop up and say, you know what, from now on, the sun rises from west. But the crazy thing is this, if it doesn't hurt you or me or him, right? What's the problem, right? Think the way you want. As long as you know that, okay, this makes me happy, right? Because along the way, when they put you in the ground, right? We were talking about this last time. When we become dirt, the rest of the world gonna go on living. Everybody's gonna go on living, right? So if I wake up in the morning and I think about, whatever I'm gonna go throughout the day, right? My first thought is this: if it is not for me, then people can talk, man. Because you might do good in life, and somebody's gonna say you arrogant for doing good, right? And when you do less, people gonna call you what? Okay, he got a lot on his mind. He a crazy dude. That's why he's always overthinking, easy, right? But you quiet. That's what they wanted you to do, right? And when you become a big dude, everybody say, what is he trying to prove? You try to be healthy, right? And when you start going to the gym and you start eating, everybody say, he a lazy motherfucker.
Yeah.
So you say every single day.
Everything, no matter what you try to do.
Somebody's going to say something. So the validation has to come from inside.
Exactly.
It has to be you. You have to get to the point you say, okay, this is me. I'm going to live in and I'm going to be happy with me, with every decision I make, and zero regrets. Why? Zero regrets, because every 24 hours, never going to be the same again, right?
Exactly.
So what you went through was meant to happen, man. Because if it was never meant to happen, you will stay in your bed instead of waking up and going and meeting somebody new. Because you have to think about it. What led you to that moment? It's a web, man. It's a web that is directing us to where we're supposed to be, right? So you have to have zero regrets. And that's where the validation comes from, man. Knowing that there is no mistakes. There is no mistakes. There is no lack. It is all in the way. It is all in the formation, and I'm going to get there.
Because if we weren't always searching for validation or so focused on validation, what do you think? What would we create? If validation wasn't the motive for everything, what would we create? Just think about where would our minds go if validation wasn't the motive for everything.
We turn into aliens. Because every time I think about, whenever people ask me, you think we're alone in the universe? I say, no. I think if aliens are there, right? They too focus on what they can achieve than worrying about, do humans think we exist? This is the thing I'm thinking about, right? Because there's a lot we can accomplish if we stopped worrying about what the next person is, or if we had self-validation. Exactly. If we are self-validated, we'll be better than anybody else. Why I'm telling you this? If I wanted to make a Mercedes, right? How many times people try to make something, but they start midway? Because of how many comments they receive from those around them. That car can never be the way it's supposed to be, right? You can never do this. One of the guys that always come to mind whenever I think about this is Enzo Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari, this guy had an idea. He said, you know what? Across Europe, yes, we got good-looking cars, right? But we don't have racing cars. You know, I'm in love with racing, right? So what if I made a car that can race but still had the sophistication of being one of the greatest cars, right? And everybody in Europe was like, hey, this is what we are trying to avoid. We are trying to avoid all this chaosness, right? We're trying to make something that is luxurious and it can only be afforded by only a certain group of people. And we know that it can take over and the speed doesn't matter. But he was like, I know what I have in mind. I used to be a racer, right? Why not do this, right? And Ferrari today, if you think about it, if he stopped from what they told him, Ferrari today won't be Ferrari. It would have been Rolls-Royce. Why is Rolls-Royce one of the craziest cars? Because Rolls-Royce used to be offered to private jet owners. Whenever you buy a private jet, they will give you a Rolls-Royce.
Rolls-Royce, the car.
The Rolls-Royce. It will come, they will give you a Rolls-Royce. When you get a private jet, they will give you a Rolls-Royce as a thank you, right?
I didn't know that.
So the niggas who had a Rolls-Royce were the top tier. You were the top dogs who can afford what? A private jet. So everybody started thinking, man, I need to get me one. But they started to say, you know what? We don't say Rolls-Royce. These are the gifts that we give when somebody do this. And they said, nah, we need one too. You know, we can't afford this. Because people started to look at it, the company started to notice, you know what? People are being attracted to what we're sending, right? It's no longer about it being a gift, but because of who's driving it, right? So it comes down to that thing I was telling you. If you were never worried about spending that money for a Rolls-Royce, that's a 250,000 USD, I think. Is that something 250
or more,
or more, right? Depending on the interior and everything, right?
More, yeah.
How much money? I know nobody sits in a Rolls-Royce and say, I got a Rolls-Royce, because it only takes a week for you to sit in a Rolls-Royce and get over it. Yeah. Because you're gonna be like, man, this is it, right? But let's say 250,000. What would 250,000 would do in Africa or across the globe, anywhere else, right? You can build a company that can feed people for free with 250,000. Like, because that's a lot of money that you can put in somewhere and people can be fed and can be clothed for free. And every single day you will wake up and feel like a better person, right? And that guy already thought, I'm sure somebody among all those rich niggas, they've thought about this, but they say, nah, nigga, I gotta look like my peers. Even though it gives you no
real value.
Exactly. You can have 20. 50 Cent said he bought the Ferrari F1 for $1 million, right? And then he said, I never drove that Ferrari. I just wanted to say, because everybody used to tell me I got this, and they said, oh, I got one too.
Exactly.
And he wasn't the guy. Right?
Validation. Now, if he would have used that $1 million, like you said, to build something and to house some people, he would have got his whole frequency would have been raised. He would have been on a high.
Like you become a God. That's the God level. That's when people ascend to the God level. Whenever I talk about God level, I don't talk about being the creator. No, you pass the reason why you're here. You pass the purpose, because whenever a stomach is fed, and it came from you, that person will go to sleep being so happy. That energy will be transferred to you, whether you eat or wherever you are across the globe, because you're the cause of it, right?
Exactly.
If a kid can smile for 20 minutes just because you did something for that kid, right? That energy, same energy, creates what? Endorphin inside you, right? Which will transfer, which will kill every single disease cell in your body, right? That's why they tell people laugh every day. Smile every day, right? But all that energy will be reciprocated to you, right? And then who's gonna feel better? That's why you see people who do good. These niggas do not need nothing. He can be barefoot and he's walking and he looks like he's.
And they probably look better. And they look better than that because they're healthy.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Like you said, that energy transfer.
Every single.
Just like a cell signal will go across the world, that energy will go.
And nothing gonna stop you, right? So you did this. Let's say you did this to 100,000 people. That's 100,000 joy coming to your life, right? And then where you're sitting, the guys who's sitting in those Rolls Royce, right? They're asking you, what are you doing that we're not doing? And you tell them, that's why people say, the more you give, the more you feel better. And it started getting to me. I started to think about how is this nigga say whenever you give, you feel better? Like, no, I'm giving, I'm losing. It looks like, from our point of view, it's like you're losing, right? But you're not losing. You're gaining because all that has to come back full circle. We always forget about this.
Got to come full circle.
Whatever you do, it has to come back full circle. And when it comes back full circle, right? Look at the amount of joy that you put out there. It's coming back. But why? Then it makes you think, why does the entertainers get to have this type of joy? Why the most depressed people, why the most sick individuals? It's because they do it for money. See, they don't do it because they want to do it.
Yeah.
That's why they get to a point out of their life, they say, I'm giving a free concert. Because he knows if somebody comes and he didn't have to pay anything and he get this feeling out of seeing me, I'm going to go back home feeling like a better individual. And I promise you, everybody who has done a free concert goes back home and be like, man, I've lived.
And people think it's a dumb world. Just like you said, people think the world is dumb, but it's a smart world.
Exactly.
Just like you got a smart TV, this world is smart. It knows what you did.
Every single
thing. It knows what you did.
Every single seed of sand on this ground feels and understands everything that you put in it.
It knows your intent.
Man,
if you do something, it knows your motive, your intent. If you do something for the sake of doing it, or like you said, if you do something for money, it's gonna know either way why you did it.
They told people. Remember, they told us eating fat, animal fat was bad, right? And these are humans, right? They say this knowing it is actually good because most of the part of our body needs that fat, right? But the actual fat, the organic fat, right? I don't say the problem with humans is we take it to the excess. But if you took enough, it is good for you. It is actually good for you. But they told us, no, we don't want you to have this. We're going to give you margarine. Margarine. Across the world, everybody's eating margarine. People were started eating margarine because they say animal fat is bad, butter is bad. Start using margarine, right? You put it on your bread and you eat it and you think, okay, it's good. Now people have discovered this was one of the leading cause of Alzheimer's across the world because of what? It does not go anywhere. It sits there and it doesn't transform into cholesterol that can help your body, right? It is actually the killer. But people who are selling this knew that if we make a profit out of lying to people, they're going to take it.
I say, but I would rather use butter than margarine, but I'm not sure about the animal fat thing. But butter is over margarine. I would use butter over margarine because it's something. It's real. It's real. It's not.
That's the thing. Because if you cannot trademark something that is nature, right? You're not gonna make a profit out of it. But let's say you create your own. What they're doing these days, they have decided, okay, we're gonna create meats from laboratory, right? We're gonna make meats, we're gonna make eggs, we're gonna make everything, and we're gonna put a stamp on it. It belongs to such and such. That such and such, whatever his product is out there, he has a profit of it, right? But you cannot do this with nature. Let's say you plant a coffee seed in Ethiopia, right? It's going to grow and becomes Ethiopian coffee. You do the same thing somewhere in Europe, it becomes that country's coffee. Right? So you cannot have right to come and say, I claim this, I make money out of it. That belongs to the individuals that lives around it. Right? But if you do this with the things that are made out of in the laboratory, the industry, right? You can capitalize on it. So the first issue comes to people making money. Like you were saying last time, to some people is God. Money is God, right? Because they've forgotten the morals, they've forgotten the reason what it means to be a human, because they think money will make things better. But the more you get, the actually bad you feel. Man, you look across, man. You look across. Mike Tyson said the first time I was ever happy is when I was in the cell doing time. This is a world champ who was getting 300 million paid for a single fight, and he collect all this money. He had everything in this way.
Simplified.
And think about a tiger, man. Like, you gotta understand how rich you got to be to buy a tiger. That's an animal that eats 7 to 10 kilograms of meat a single day, right?
You're right.
And it has to be cared, right?
You got to feed it a lot of meat.
And it has to be cared for. Think about the security and everything, right? all of that, right? You gotta have a lot of money in order to put this house.
Motherfuckers around here couldn't even have no tiger around here. That tiger be dead like ain't nobody got nowhere to feed.
It won't be a tiger, it will be a home cow. It will be a home cow.
You can't feed that one.
Exactly, he has to be fed gallons of milk, right? He bought that a tiger, right? And he had all type of cows. He had the craziest mission. But he said, the first time I ever felt happy is when I was doing time in the cell, because now I had no money and nobody expected nothing from me. I was living as a human. Because the next day, people got to know who I was. I never slept better because everybody was wanting something from me. And it's not even about the money only. Everybody wanted a picture. Everybody wanted an interview. So my life was never money. Everybody wanted me to train. Everybody wanted me to hit somebody, not to hit. They wanted me to hit somebody, to look at somebody's face and say, I'm gonna eat your face off. But that's not me. I'm advertising, right? Okay, I can be this guy, but I can still be a normal human being. But you no longer become a human being once they get their clothes in you, right? Like you is something else, you're a commodity, right? So he said, I became happy when I became a human again. And that's when I had nothing. And today, when I started making money again, now I knew that I gotta make money, but not just to have all the money. I gotta make money enough for me to live and still get to have my life to myself. He's tired now and he's happy. I'm glad this nigga got to see this, because most people find it when it's already too late. But he's still alive and he got to enjoy this. He said, I can see my family now. I can talk to people I care about. And there is no longer that circle of vultures, you know? All around me, everybody wanting something. Now they see me as the OG. So you see, man, it has to be to a limit. But we're not getting there because, you know, everybody is always wanting to want more. Look, on the point where we're
for validation.
Yes, always when we're talking about, on the point where we're talking about this thing, it comes down to how much more can you want, right? Look at serial killers.
Who?
Any serial killer that ever lived, right?
Yeah.
If he killed one guy, he would have got away with it.
And he should have been good, right?
I'm telling you.
I got my rocks off of that one. I got off on that one.
Exactly. Okay, let's say you wanted to be a killer, right? Okay, get one, get two, and stop. You can get away with it. But how is it that every prisons are filled with killers? Because they wanted more.
More.
Ignore killers, drug dealers, anybody. You will always want more, even when it's in your face that they here. They coming for you.
More.
They already found you. But you still feel like, if I can get that one more, I can be better. The killer we were talking about earlier, the blue barrel killer.
The blue barrel killer. Yeah.
They call the nigga the blue barrel killer, man. How you starve a nigga? How you take another human being and stab him in a barrel? And don't even liquefy a nigga. You let him stay.
Put him by the riverbank, yeah.
As a barrel.
Or put her by the riverbank. Hazlitt. His
And
name was something. Hazlitt Jr.
Hazlitt. I think Hazlitt. Hazlitt, right?
Hazlitt.
And the crazy thing that when you said it, you said that he got caught because he had to take his kid to school. So in the basement, he got bodies in the barrel.
He got sex slaves in the basement. He got a woman in the basement, sex slave, kid upstairs.
God,
let me take my kid to school. That's the only reason she got away.
And he taking a kid to school.
Black women too. He kidnapping black women.
Look what we were saying, man. Look what we were saying. He still feel like I can be a father. I can be a father. I can provide for my kid. And I can be a role model to the daughter of mine. And in the basement, he got somebody's daughters.
He got
other people's daughters being killed, being sexually abused, but he feels nothing. See, this is when it becomes a problem to how far a man can go. I had this thing and it scared the living shit out of me. They said 5% of people in this world, 5% of humans are good. 5% of people are bad to the core. And the 90%, we just trying to find a way in between. But when I had this,
you said, say that again. You said
5% people, 5% of the world population
are real good.
are good to the core. Like these are the motherfuckers who not supposed to be. They angel like.
Good to the, yeah, I got you.
Other 5% are evil when I talk about certain.
You said 10% or 5%, another 5%.
5%.
5%, okay.
And the 90% It is just the rest of the individual trying to balance the two.
Between the middle.
So whenever you see a serial killer, like you can think, okay, all the serial killers I've known, they're among those 5%. But you get to question this. If a guy is still caring for his daughter, if he still thinks he's a father, if he still think I can buy my daughter a blue dress, I can take her to the park, I just want to see the joy reflected through her face, right? And he comes down and do, God knows what to those people in the basement. You think he's in the 90% or he's in those 5% evil? Because you got to think about it, right? Because if you're going to be evil, like there is no good in you. Like you get to the point where you start to envy good. Like when you see somebody smiling, you slap the shit out of them just because they're laughing. That's evil, right? But when you see a guy treating his nephew or his niece like as if, okay, the whole world belongs to them, right? And then he goes up and he shot 7 people and goes to bed and sleeps like a baby.
You saying he ain't pure evil?
He's not pure evil, but he's just
he might
corrupted.
be that 90%.
Yes, he might be the 90%.
And I could believe that.
Yeah, because you think
Because it's some baby blood drinking up. It's some mother drink baby blood out there. Yeah, it's a pure evil. It's a pure evil out there.
Yo, like, cause you got to understand that this is why parents. One guy was talking about this on a show. He said parents should tell their kids one thing. When you are home, I think it was Chris Rock who said it. He said, when you are home, the whole world belongs to you. You my angel. You everything. You my everything. But when you step outside that door, behave. Forget everything I ever told you. All that works when you here. When you out there, you are same as everybody else. He said this is how we can keep our kids from being killed and from being violated. Because when a kid steps out and say, okay, mom and dad is not here, I got to behave in a certain way that everybody is going to love me and go accept me by listening and being disciplined, right? But when I get home, I can go what? This kid is going to get accepted. But the kid who thinks the paradise that lives at home, lives everywhere else, he's going to step out and meet somebody who just lost somebody. And then he's going to start talking about, why should I care about you? Who are you to talk to me like that? You never get back to me. And somebody might do something to you. And then you never see that kid again. So it comes down to that thing I'm telling you, the good and the evil. We got both in us. But you got to understand some people have already fed this, the wolf or the sheep too much that the other one died. It
good
got
man,
stuck.
bad man.
Yeah, good man and bad man. It's the dichotomy, man. Like, you got to understand that somebody's feeding a wolf on the daily. So what's going to come out of it? Pure hatred, man, for no reason. I used to talk to this homie and he used to tell me every time I step outside and I see people hugging and smiling, I just get more angry. I said, you don't know these people. He said, no, I don't want to see anybody smile. If I can't smile, nobody else can smile. I was like, man, you hurt. You need professional help. He was like, nah, it's no longer about me. Now it's just out there for the rest of the world. And I was like, no, these type of people, you gotta let them know that they need help. And I'm glad one of these guys, this guy I'm talking about, he got the help that he needed. He a cool dude now. But at that time, he used to tell me, yo, man, I'm in the dark place. And you gotta understand, keep feeding it.
You can get there sometime.
How you think a nigga gonna wake up?
The good can get to a dark place.
Exactly. You don't wake up and create a dungeon.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't wake up and create a dungeon, bro.
You're right.
You do not. Because most people, they do this out of research. Every killer that thought, I want to be a killer, most of them did it out of research. Because they told them it's your primal instinct. When you look at back in time, everybody was killing for free. And nobody had to say anything. So they do it thinking, okay, you know what, this is me being a man. I just gotta kill something just to know I killed. And they will go hunting. When they can't get that satisfaction out of hunting an animal, you think, what's next? What's a human blood like? I gotta find out. Some of them will join the army because they're scared of doing it without that validation I was telling you. But he says, okay, what if I kill and then it's bad and then I go crazy? But if I kill in the army, I will have the validation of I'm serving my country. And I will have also the satisfaction of being what? A killer. So they go to the army. But the others are saying, army is for bitches. You know, because they will tell you who to kill. You never met this guy. You got beef. You never had beef with him. Why should you kill that nigga? Why don't I pick who I kill? Savage mode. And then they will go outside and join what? The gang. Because they say, okay, if I'm in the gang, I'm my own man. You can't tell me nothing. And if anybody says anything to me, I gotta get my respect back. The respect is on, right? So he's gonna show up and say, you know what? I need to get this right. So when he kills the first guy, every other killer around him is going to tell him, this is normal, man. We felt like you on the first time. Just like the way you fell down when you ride a bike on the first time, and everybody else who knows how to ride a bike will tell you, I can ride a bike too. So you're going to get better. So they will tell you this, and then you think it's normal. And then later on, you've killed 20 people. And after you kill 20 people, there is no going back to it, because inside you, the wolf inside you is always one, right? But does that make you a bad person? No. You started out doing research, right? Because you are saying, like, why were those people better? Like, every time people... You remember when the 300 movie came out? Everybody saw the kid come out. They told a story. They said, every young kid out of Sparta, right? They used to be sent at the age of 8. They used to be sent in the winter. Out in the forest in the winter, right? And they only came back home with a wolf after they killed the wolf, right? In the winter, whenever they talk about the winter, the medieval time winter, right? They say it used to go minus 30. Today we don't have minus 30. I think Canada is around minus 25 or something. The coldest, I think there's a country in Europe that goes to minus 45 or something.
Okay.
But picture this: these are niggas wearing clothes. The Sparta, you saw a nigga with a shorts, chest out, and everything, and he's in the jungle with a knife. Where he's sleeping, and all he has to come home to become one of the Sparta warrior, he has to come home with a wolf. He killed that wolf with frozen body. How he did that? So when we try to compare again, we try to compare our lives today to those guys. We don't know how that life was. If this was true, if this was not true. But we try to picture our life being that, right? And we saw they had free reign to kill whoever they want. If a man comes for what's yours, you kill him. Today, you don't have to kill somebody. You can report a guy, right? But we feel like, no, I got to be that. I got to get there. How you think Trump convinced all these guys to be at the Capitol Hill? He said, this is how your ancestors did it. They took over this country by power. Everybody ran up show up at the Capitol Hill, right? Yeah. Because we got the instinct to relate to those that came before us, right? Which brings me down to this thing that I had, which I don't know, it put things in perspective. They said that every woman is cursed to be their mother.
Is what?
Is cursed to be their mother. And every man is cursed not to be their father. And I was like, how is this?
What do you mean by that?
So I got to thinking about it. So every woman, every girl will grow up to become their mother, because the first woman that they relate to was their mother. How was my mother? What did my mother do? Who did my mother love? What was my mother's knowledge at the world around me, right? This is the woman that gave birth.
Yeah.
That's why they start to play with dolls. At the young age, they're teaching them, you're going to be mothers. So at a sudden, and everybody thinks it's normal, right? So a kid will grow up feeling like, I need to be close to my mother. I need to learn what my mother does. How does my mother dress? What type of person is she, right? So once you program this in your head for more than 10, 15 years until they reach puberty, where they flick out. Until they reach puberty, they love their mother to death. Then when they reach puberty, they start to notice, I do not want to be this woman. So they start to flick out in their head. That's why daughters around 15 or something, they don't agree with anything their mother says. But they love their father, right? Because they feel like, I can never be associated with this woman. Because I have been trying to be like her for 15 years. I think I'm failing. But they don't know, it's just puberty, right? So they start to feel like, I need to go against this woman, right? So that's why if she says sit down, you feel like, I need to stand the whole day if he has to.
They don't want to.
If she's a girl, right?
They don't want to listen.
Exactly. But when they pass the age of a certain age and they become a mother, or they start to see the world into the female view, right? Where they see like, I need somebody, or I need to be around this type of people. I need to start care. I need to become nurtured, right? They start to remember their mother. And then when they give birth, if they are lucky enough to get married and give birth, they start to feel whatever their mother went through. And they say, I respect that woman.
Yeah.
So I will be that woman. But if it was on the bad side, if that woman was bad, now you grew up hating her with everything, but every time you step out, you convince your mind, I don't want to be my mother. If you repeat something so much, it becomes you. So whenever you keep saying, I don't want to be that woman, every day you are reminded of whatever she did that was bad.
You become her?
Which will lead you to finding out, why is it that this is me? Every day I have to remind myself that she's this person, right? Maybe it's in me.
Yeah.
And then you end up finding it become what? An addiction to it. That you want to say, let me try it and see if it sticks with me. And that's how they end up becoming their mother, right? To the side of a boy, you grew up worshiping your father. If you're lucky enough for him to be around, right? You're like, I need to be as strong as this guy. Every time I see this guy pop up, he's the most gigantic human being I know alive, right? Yeah. So every day you compare yourself. Whatever you do, you compare yourself to how far he has reached. Let's say you pass his financial level. You will still understand he did a lot with less. So you say, can I do a lot with less? So you always try to put yourself in the position where you are comparing yourself to your dad, because you say, this is a man of all men, right? So if he did something bad, you will also think like, he did this and he gave birth to me. It's a part of my DNA. So I have to try to fight it off, but I still at the same time think about it. So every single day when you focus to it, right? It is in focus. So if it is bad, you can think I'm fighting it off. But you're not fighting it off because you're reminding yourself of it every single day. The only way it can be better is if you forgot about it. But since it's a part of your DNA, it's here in your face, right? So you will always try to outpass it and outlive it, right? But you end up finding yourself, I cannot reach out to this guy because he did things that I can never be. That's why, but it's a part of nature. If you became your father, we will live in the most uniform world. But you're not supposed to be him. Because if you're not him, you're going to create somebody else who's never going to be you, who's going to find his own way. And when he finds his own way, you have diversity across the world, right? But if we became who our parents were, it ended up to become like this. But why does it work on the female side? Because the female has to always have the kindness and the nurturing ability, whatever they are, no matter what. Even the worst of them all, whenever they come home, they still have that in there. That's why they plant gardens. And they plant flowers. Because if I can be good to a human being, I'll be good to what? To a plant.
To a plant, a garden. That's right, yeah. But so we was validation. All of it tied down to validation. But I'd be saying, what does this body have? What use does this body have for validation? I don't think the body of glory. You always hear him talking about glory, like the glory is something. We do this for the glory. I was watching a show the other day. It was like, if you follow me, you'll know more glory than you ever known. You'll know glory. But
is that the Gladiator?
It wasn't the Gladiator. It's another movie. It's a what you call them dudes? The barbarian type dude, the Vikings. It's a Viking show. So he was like, you're gonna know more glory if you follow me. Man. Yeah. But what use does this body have of glory? That's what they say. They always used to say the glory belongs to God.
Yeah.
God, the glory belongs to the creator. This body ain't got no use for glory. This body ain't gonna be here. It's a fleeting thing. All the stuff we talk about is fleeting thoughts, fleeting things. They don't last. Everything in this world is, even if you, because we record, we do music. When you learn about engineering, you learn about transients. Transients are things, audio that jumps up,
up and down,
jumps up and jumps down. That's how this world is. It's transient. Things go up and go down. The emotions are transient. The feelings are transient. The hate is transient. That's why you can't even hate. It's hard to even hate a person. It's hard to hate a person. You got to repatriate the hate. If I hate you, I said, man, I hate that nigga, man. I hate that motherfucker. Man, tomorrow I see you, I might not even remember. I gotta rethink about that shit.
What I hate about this?
I hate that nigga. I know I hate that nigga. I gotta think about it again. Cause that shit is gone. The hate is gone. You gotta remake. I can hate you, and the next day man, fuck, I hate Flurry, man. That nigga, man, woo, woo, woo. And I see you the next day. What's up, Flurry, man? And then I gotta think about it.
What you did, my
I can't. Yeah, you gotta think about it. Why I hate this motherfucker, man. I hate this motherfucker.
Money when you hate me.
Yeah, it changed. So everything is transient.
Why?
Stuff goes up, it goes
energy.
down. Yeah.
And it's soul energy. And if it's soul energy, it's all frequency, right? So it has to run around. And if you're open, if you're a good instrument and you are open like these towers, right? The 5G towers, right? You're gonna connect with that energy, right? Because everything is frequency, right? Every energy is frequency, right? And the thing is, if I keep holding on to it, that's what makes it stay. That's what makes it stable, right? And it will plant roots. And once it plant roots, it will either start to destroy me or it will start to build me. Why people say don't hate anybody? Why people like to say it's not good to hate somebody? Because every single day you live knowing that you hate somebody, they live rent-free in your head.
You're right.
You see, now who's hiding who?
Exactly.
Exactly. You hiding yourself, right? Yeah. But you let it go because you understand that we all mortals, right? We're mortal beings, right? And why you say, earlier you said the glory, right? You live for the glory. Everybody starts up with this because we've been told you got to be a God-like. You got to reach God level, right? You got to be remembered throughout ages, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Vikings were up to. But the crazy thing is Ragnar, when he got to the God level, he understood, I don't want to be Ragnar. I don't want to be known for conquering the whole Europe because it was all vanity, right? It was all nothing. So the glory that he was promising everybody, he found out that for himself, he never needed it. Why? Because we mortals, right? So all that you collected, it finally hits you that you're going to leave it here. And then that's what kills you. Because, okay, I accumulated all this wealth, all the noise across the universe, but men are easy to forget. They won't forget me. But what I did, I'm never going to forget. It lives with me. All these things that I've created and all these things that I've accumulated, right, will stay here. So it all comes back to you being alone and living this world the way you came in. So that really should be you knowing that everything I did will live into somebody's life. A man once asked, who do you think is more happy? The guy who sells the crop from the market or the farmer? Like, what do you think is going to make a farmer more happy? The money he gets out of selling his crop or knowing that the food that he planted has given life to another human being? And the guy say, one who will be more happier is the one who knows that the food he planted. Yes, he got money as extra, but the food he planted, he's more happy about the food he planted being able to nourish somebody's body, right? The other one who only looks at money, right? He will sell that crop to a certain group of individuals just to get the highest amount of money that he can get out of it. And when he gets back home, he's going to count that money and spend it and then get back to do the same thing again but still find I'm not happy. But that guy get motivated. He has the internal motivation of wanting to do this again and again because he knows I'm saving life on the day.
Makes sense, man.
Baby, I'm a good man, I'm a bad man. Baby, I'm a good man, I'm a bad man.